Balake. Where is Balake at?
My name's Blake.
Blake? What? Do you want to go to war, Balake? I'm for real. Aaron.
Aaron is here. Welcome back, everybody, for more SPTV, where every day's a great day not to be in a cult. I am joined by the one and only, the lovely Jenna Miscavige.
Hi, guys.
Are you guys happy I didn't forget to introduce her this time? I forgot to bring up your channel to screen share. We don't have any screen shares set up. But if you're not subscribed to Jenna's channel, you can find her at Jenna Miscavige. And then, of course, on TikTok at Jenna Miscavige, where Jenna has become quite popular.
Thank you.
Okay. I tried to let George know that we were going to go live so he could help us on the back end, but he might be sleeping. George, if you're watching us, we could, you are our only hope, Obi George. And because I can't quite see the comments very clearly sitting this far back. My old eyes are failing me. But let's just get into it. We want to have a fun conversation and kick around some ideas and throw some different ideas about this back and forth and get your guys' opinion on it as well.
Yeah.
And it has to do with taking down Scientology from the inside with the help of under the radar Scientologists. And this is a subject that's near and dear to my heart. Well, because I was under the radar for almost 5 years. Right. And I planned on being under the radar my entire life. I was like, that's going to work. That's going to work out. And, you know, being under the radar means Scientology considers that you are in good standing. You're not a declared SP. Right. If you're really good under the radar, you even have clearances to go to the events. Some under the radar people, like, they're in good standing, but they've drifted away, and Scientology kind of knows it, but they don't have enough juice on them to declare them, and they don't want to escalate and rock the boat for some reason. Right. You know? Yeah. And so taking down Scientology with the help of under the radar Scientologists, and also, like, are there two sides to this argument? Are there arguments for why being under the radar is kind of we're too early in the video for me to use my choice adjectives that I want to use. Like, are there criticisms for staying under the radar as opposed to coming out?
Right. Yeah. So when I first thought that we would do this video together, the thing that made me think of it is that I did a TikTok video earlier in the week. Actually, I don't know how long ago it was, but I was talking about Emily Armstrong. And, you know, I was talking about how she's openly gay, but still like a Scientologist in good standing. She hasn't publicly disavowed Scientology. And we believe it so that she can still be in contact with her parents.
No. She's genuinely not an under the radar Scientologist. Like, she is getting auditing from her field auditor, Chris Farmer.
Okay. All right. Cool. Yeah. So the reason why I thought that it would be interesting is because, you know, some people, you know, for the most part, everyone was supportive. There's a few people in the comments, fans of hers, that were like, in her lyrics, she says that she, you know, bad things about her childhood, whatever. And also, you know, many people, to be fair, it's mostly people who actually grew up with their family, are like, yeah, it's not that easy to cut off your parents. Because in the video I had said, I know this might sound heartless, but if your parents are going to choose Scientology over you every time, and like has been the case for many people who grew up in Scientology, maybe it's not healthy for you to have them in your life. And, you know, some people said, yeah, it's not that easy to cut off your parents, which of course is true. And also, maybe if you haven't grown up with like the world's shittiest parents, it's maybe you would think it's harder than it actually is. Anyways, so I thought it's like there's two ways to approach this situation. It's like with empathy, it's like, of course, she doesn't want to cut off her parents. She doesn't want to be cut off from everyone she ever knew. But then there's also another part of me. I was never under the radar. And there was many times when I was in Scientology when it was sort of like just as an example, at the very end, they were trying to take away everyone on the base's cell phones. And that there were many people in my unit who were like, don't worry, Jenna, we're not going to give up our cell phones either. We'll stand together on this.
We will stand united with you, Jenna.
Yeah. And then anyways, so then nobody, everybody else wound up giving up their cell phones. But the point is that the power against Scientology comes in numbers. Like when we talk about what's more powerful, the cult leaders or the cult followers, the power is where the numbers are. And so those numbers actually matter in taking down Scientology. So when somebody like her decides if they really don't like Scientology and they aren't for it, they decide to keep that under wraps. It actually makes it so Scientology can continue what they're doing and continue disconnecting people like me from my family or you from your family without any repercussions because no one's saying anything about it. So it's like literally directly enables them. And it's hard for me to be forgiving of that while I also see the other side of it too. Did that make sense?
No. Yeah, it makes total sense. And it finally came into clarity before what we mentioned before is why this would be such an interesting conversation, because not all under the radars are created equal.
Right. Yeah.
There are some, and I remembered that one of the reasons this came to the forefront of our consciousness is because when you and I get in touch with like people who are just recently coming out from under the radar, those people are then in turn still connected to so many people who are still under the radar, but under the radar in a way where they're not even trying to be helpful to the movement of exposing Scientology. They're just trying to protect themselves and their relationships with their parents who barely know them.
Well, yeah. And not only that, I think
that pushes buttons. That pushes some buttons.
Yes, it pushes buttons. And also because I grew up in the way that I did, like I would be the most primed in the universe to think that the things I experienced were normal because they were normal for me and they were normal for so many of us. And sometimes I'll run into an issue where I'll see somebody who's like not really still involved in Scientology, but they're still basically getting all the benefits from being in Scientology, still talking to everyone, still all doing all of that. And they'll make this little comment that's like, oh yeah, they're like attacking and going on and on about Scientology. And it wasn't that bad. We just had no schooling, no education, didn't get to see our family and dug trenches all day, but it's not that bad. I'm fine with it. And I'm like, I just want to kill them, honestly, because it's like,
yeah,
it's just more gaslighting. And I also think on some level, the truth is when I look back they actually feel bad about not saying anything about it themselves. Otherwise they would still be involved in it. Right. And that's their little spiel, but it's very annoying. Like if they feel bad about not contributing, then the least they can do is not be a dick. Like that can be your one contribution.
Right. Well, it's funny because for me, what makes a conversation about under the radar so interesting is actually how effective and influential under the radar people are being, have been, and can be in the future.
Yeah.
And the more of that happens, the more that happens, and the more of that happens, the faster we are going to be able to get Scientology's membership as close to zero as possible. And
the more of that happens. I just had to correct that sentence.
What did I say?
It's my OCD. I don't know. You kept saying that in the wrong place.
The more that happens, and the more of that happens.
Yes. Okay.
Because honestly, when I was under the radar, I was giving very, very helpful information to, Marty and Mike. And there's a lot of very highly placed under the radar people who are presently giving and have been giving very, very helpful information.
It's such a good point.
And we are able to use that information to blast it out publicly, and certain under the radar information is more effective in blasting it out to current Scientologists than even like the audience, the majority of the audience that watches us that have never been in Scientology. Like some of this under the radar information, like in Scientology, information about abuse, rapes, sexual assaults, suicides is kept very compartmentalized. Now there's also, the whisper the West, it's weird because in some ways a lot of information is kept compartmentalized, and in other ways everyone knows everyone's business. It's
Totally.
kind of weird how both of these things are true at the same time.
Yeah. I
But
agree.
there's so many instances where I will be given information from an under the radar person
Mhm.
that they know is scandalous and not broadly known by the rest of the Scientology population.
Mhm.
And blasting that information out in YouTube videos,
Mhm.
in my mind, that's effective in getting other Scientologists, almost like shocking them with the truth of the information about this person they may have known but didn't actually understand what had really happened.
Totally.
Because some people might be wondering, well, what is it that under the radar people do that is so effective in helping bring down Scientology? You know what I mean? So like the audience might be going like, we're not sure what it is the under the radars are doing. You're being kind of general about it. You're being kind of vague about it. Like, what is so helpful about what under the radar people can offer? And it is information that has been compartmentalized that these people know other Scientologists would care about if they heard about it.
Right. Yeah. And I'm even catching up because I wasn't distinguishing the two types of under the radar. I was only thinking of it in one way.
Mm.
And so the truth is that, yeah, there's under the radar people who are not really doing anything. There's other ones who are essentially, well, double agents.
Right. Undercover agents.
Yes. Which is very helpful in getting to what's happening right now.
Yes.
And being able to reliably talk about it. I
Yes.
mean, actually, it's like, that's like a super special secret job that they have that is maybe more valuable than people at time. Not that there's a competition, but it can be in some cases more valuable than people who are just like me, who are like.
Well, by the way, that's generally what I think under the radar. That's generally what I think of as the definition of under the radar.
Okay. I think of it as people who are like, their kids still go to Scientology school. They still like go to events. They're still in touch with people who are in Scientology. They just like don't manage to do Scientology themselves so much. Or they secretly hang out with people who aren't in Scientology anymore.
Right. Yeah. There's all sorts of different categories of people who are not really active in Scientology, aren't really gung-ho about going up the bridge, have disagreements, because I feel like Scientology would just call some of those people stalled on the, people with disaffections who are stalled on the bridge.
Right.
But aren't necessarily trying to leave Scientology or help people that are already out of Scientology.
Right. Yeah. And where like knowing some of those people, they would say like, yeah, I don't have any interest in doing Scientology anymore. I don't want to have anything to do with it. But maybe Scientology would think of them as stalled on the bridge.
Totally. But since there's still, maybe 20,000 Scientologists in the world, and as far as like super, super active ex-members, there doesn't seem to be more than maybe a couple hundred. Like active, who are helping get the word out about Scientology.
Right.
My favorite type of Scientologist is an under the radar Scientologist.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense when you put it that way. And so I would like, so to me, when people were saying Emily Armstrong, maybe she's not really involved. She's not really doing services, but she isn't going to come out publicly against Scientology. I'm like, okay, well, that would be kind of what I would consider under the radar. But then, in a situation like that, like there's no reason why she couldn't have privately reached out to, because she had shown up at Danny Masterson's trial with a bunch of Scientologists to intimidate the Jane Does. She could have reached out privately to the Jane Does and apologized for this instead of giving a blanket statement that kind of pretends like she feels bad about having gone there without really having to do any of the hard things that involve her actually apologizing or take responsibility for her actions. It's really just seemingly to trick her audience.
The problem with having this conversation about, what's her name? Emily Armstrong, is it is only her fans who are clueless and delusional and have no idea what they're talking about, who say this bullshit about, oh, Emily doesn't talk about Scientology just because she doesn't want to lose her parents. Have some compassion for her. And it's like, no, you're wrong. You guys are the liars. Well, no, they're not lying. They just actually don't know the truth. Emily Armstrong is a fully dedicated Scientologist. Yeah. And so now, so you might have had a particular, a dialogue you're having with Emily's delusional fans, who want to give some bullshit explanation for why she doesn't come out. But Emily's not under the radar in any sense of the word. She's a dedicated diehard Scientologist, which is honestly a whole other conversation of how you can be an openly gay person, enthusiastically continuing to embrace Scientology when you grew up as one of their child slaves in a highly neglected and abusive environment, and they hate you. They look down on you. They think you're broken. You'll never be allowed onto the OT levels. And the only reason they continue to have anything to do with you whatsoever is because you're famous. Like, that's disgusting to me.
Yeah, absolutely. You know. I agree. Yeah.
But did I derail the conversation about the Emily? What were we talking about right before that?
We were talking about under the radar. That's what we've been. I
Yeah.
don't know which part.
Well, it's interesting because there's another. I don't know if I'm derailing it onto a slightly different topic, but you and I were having some conversations recently with some of our newer, freshly out from under the radar friends,
right?
And there's so many people in our Sea Org generation who, I didn't grow up in the Sea Org, but so many of these other people did. Like when I got to the Sea Org in LA. In 2002, there was a whole bunch of Sea Org members there who so obviously did not want to be there. Whether the last name is Huber or Sarkovich or Fine or who are some of the other, Anthony Cohen, I remember, was one of the Pack Ranch guys. All the Pack Ranch kids.
I see. Okay.
They so clearly grew up in this, predetermined life that they had no interest in and were railing against, right? And a lot of that generation of Sea Org kids have left the Sea Org, are still in Scientology in the sense that they're still in good standing. They're still in touch with their Sea Org parents. And many of them are just continuing to exist in the Scientology ecosystem and not speaking out and not well, I guess I would say still acting like they're very, very, very much afraid that Scientology will cause their parents to disconnect from them.
Right.
And these are parents who have not raised them, have not been there for them, have helped them in almost no ways in their life, don't talk to them more than a couple times a year, would disconnect from them in a heartbeat if the Scientology told them to.
Exactly.
So, in other words, really couldn't give a damn about their kids.
Exactly.
And I know this really wasn't the main purpose of the subject of this video, but that is a type of under the radar that I truly don't understand.
But it's so prevalent.
It's so prevalent.
Yeah.
And it's almost like, I think it's that type of under the radar that people like Emily Armstrong's fans would probably say, oh no, you have to understand, it's so, the family bonds are so strong. And I'm like, not in Scientology, they're not.
Right, exactly. Yeah, that's what's hard is when they respond in that way. And I'm like, you don't really know what you're talking about. But it's like also like, then I also sound crazy because I'm like, no, family bonds are not strong. You know what I mean? It's just a weird thing to talk about.
Right.
Or to say someone's completely
wrong. Because it almost sounds
about.
like you're taking Scientology's side.
Exactly. Yes.
Right.
It's totally weird. And it's like also like that was a whole thing, leaving from Scientology, and like maybe like, just say you leave from Scientology, right? Just say one of these people realizes that their parents were totally narcissistic. They only cared about themselves. They only looked after themselves. They didn't take care of them when they were young. And so they're like, you know what? I don't really want this in my life. Like, so they're essentially like disconnecting from them, right? But then there's like this whole thing of like, oh my God, am I being like Scientology if I am disconnecting from this person? So there's so many like double think situations that are a little bit more complicated than they first appear.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's funny, like, I mean, I can only say this because I know April's been public about it. Like April Snow. I don't know if you know April.
I think I've seen some of her stuff early on years ago. I don't know her personally.
Is her last name? Her brothers are, her maiden name is Fair. Am I getting the wrong April? I know who I'm thinking of. I just don't know if I'm saying the wrong name. So she, she grew up in Scientology. Her brothers are in the Sea Org. And she was just so sick and tired of being gaslit by her Scientologist mom
Right.
that for her own mental health or just happiness, she's like, you know, I'm severing this tie.
Right.
And did it
Yeah.
compassionately. Like,
Mhm.
listen, you constantly doing this and saying this and implying this, and I always feel like less than. You always make me feel less than, that
Right.
somehow I'm degraded, somehow I'm this, and it actually drives me crazy, and I can't have this in my life anymore. You know, if you leave Scientology, I want to have a relationship with you. I care about you, but I can't. This relationship is hurting me more than it's helping me.
Right. Mhm.
And it's interesting though, because, you know, when Scientology is enforcing disconnection, they're forcing people who love each other to separate for no reason other than for what's good for Scientology.
Right. Good point.
And this is a case where someone is, for their own good
Right.
and with open communication, is
Right.
choosing to no longer have that relationship.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's not only choosing that because they're saying, oh, you're a terrible person and I hate you.
Right.
They're saying, I can no longer take it's like a relationship. It's
Mhm.
like, it's not necessarily all the other person's fault. It's not necessarily all your fault, but the combination of the two things, like when you do this, whether I'm overreacting or not, I am my worst self. You know, like I would have that with my mom.
Mhm.
Like, you know, she would do certain things and I couldn't take it.
Right.
And I also could not live with myself being that worst version of myself when she would do those things. Now, somebody else who may not have experienced the things that I did could have seen those things as not a big deal, you know, but I couldn't do that. And so, like, in order to sort of protect my peace and hers, it was like, yeah, I can't do this right now, whether it's a break or whether it's forever, I don't know. But it's like recognizing your own limitations and also protecting yourself.
Right. Here's why the April example was so interesting to me. The mother that she was saying, I can't do this anymore.
Mm-hmm.
That mother was not it was not a Sea Org mother.
I see.
So you had April, who, and honestly, for some reason, I cannot remember if April herself was in the Sea Org. I just knew her brothers in the Sea Org.
I see. Okay.
So they were in the real world.
Mm-hmm.
They had every opportunity to have a real relationship and everything. And April was still able to see this relationship is not only really bad for me, but it's also a way that Scientology is controlling me. And she was able to say, I'm not going to have that anymore.
Right.
And I think, given the context, that's very strong and very admirable. And then you compare that to these kids who grew up in the Sea Org, had horrible, abusive, neglected childhoods, struggle to make their way in the world due to the lack of education and real world experience, get no help from their parents. And meaning April was able to make that strong decision for herself, even when she actually had real world access to her mom. And yet some of these Sea Org kids, they're continuing to be controlled by these relationships with people who they barely even see and aren't even allowed to talk to. And Scientology is still able to control them through these relationships.
Right.
It's just an amazing contrast there.
Yeah, it is. And it's even more interesting when you think of, like, I wonder if April was able to do that because maybe on some level she got more love up front to have enough self-worth to do that, where the other people like never had it and they're absolutely starved for it. So ironically, it's like they can't let go of something way worse. I just don't know. And maybe it's not the same in every case, but it is just interesting.
Right. Yes. And throwing back to, I think, a concept you touched on earlier in the conversation, that, like, philosophically speaking, I think you could argue what's wrong with staying under the radar is that if every single person who was under the radar publicly left Scientology at the same time, the entire system would crumble.
That's right. Yeah. Or even if they were like, no, I'm not going to do what you say. It's like Scientology keeping people isolated and not talking to each other about their issues, and basically like keeping the numbers, the group, from being bigger than their power by keeping them separated and thinking they're the only ones. They take away that group power that's in numbers. And so by people just being like, no, I'm not doing that anymore, there's literally nothing they can do.
It's true. Now, I'm just making that sort of a philosophical point because I love me some under the radars. I'm not
Yeah.
blaming and shaming anybody for staying under the radar. I think people who are under the radar are very powerful. And one person in particular said to me recently, they said, I just want you to know that you guys being out there doing what you're doing, spanking Scientology the way that you are, doing it publicly, persistently, relentlessly, and effectively, gives me the ability to stay in here and keep doing what I can do from the inside. Because if you guys weren't out there doing it, I wouldn't be able to help myself. I would have to be doing it as well.
Yeah.
And they're like, I really think I can be more effective continuing to, be in here on the inside. And I'm like, I want, if every under the radar person was doing that, that would also
be great.
Be hugely effective.
Yeah. And you saying that gives me also like, it also changes my point of view a little bit, like gives me a whole other respect for this, because a lot of those people come to you because you're talking about more general things. And that's truly amazing. Like the amount of help it's given over the years, and even the amount of people have reached out to me even and said, I appreciate what you're doing. And that does matter so much to me. Like it makes all the difference in the world. So I think separating the different categories helps me not to feel like so conflicted. Because sometimes I'm like, but also knowing Emily isn't really under the radar.
Emily's not under the radar. And she really, she benefits from people constantly making that argument on her behalf. And hold on. Oh, there was what was I just gonna okay, so one of the benefits of under the radars. This is a whole there's like several dots in my mind. I want to figure out how to connect them. Turning the snake against itself. Scientology is the snake. Turning the head of the snake against itself is, I think, one of the most effective ways in accelerating the downfall of the organization and the accelerating the speed of people leaving. It is also the most fun thing to do. And under the radar folks and information provided by under the radar folks is so valuable in us being able to use that information to figure out how to turn Scientology against itself and to create literal internal chaos through witch hunts and ratcheting up the level of paranoia in the organization. Scientology is expert at witch hunting, but doesn't mean they're good at it.
Yeah, they're not.
They're not good at it. They're just always doing it.
Yes, they always are. Like literally, it's what they do all the time.
And getting certain key information from under the radar folks helps us figure out what we can do, not only in our videos, but behind the scenes, to get Scientology really ratcheting up the witch hunt level to 11. Which makes being on staff unbearable. It makes being in the Sea Org unbearable. It makes being on lines in orgs unbearable when everyone's constantly being meter checked and metered ethics interviewed and sec checked and rolled back to find out who's leaking. And I think I take a personal, unusual amount of joy in lighting some of those fires internally and getting Scientology witch hunting its way to pushing people out of the organization.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know. Am I being very vague? Is that
you're not being vague?
Does that paint a picture?
Yeah, it does. I was thinking in my head while you were saying that sometimes it's complicated because it's like when we talk about the bad things that Scientology does, and then just say they change some things, like say they cancel the RPF, or say they make it so that people can leave the Sea Org without having abortions, or say that they just decide not to do a witch hunt. It's like, I want to root for that, but also I know that there's just something else that's called the RPF. They're doing the RPF. They're just not calling that, or they're still doing a million other evil things. And part of what gets people to leave is for it to be so bad that they have to. And so it's like, I feel weird like wanting it to be worse, but also I know that's what is going to get people to leave.
Well, and the truth is, like, it's the only reason things like that work is because that's how the organization is wired.
Right. Yeah. And if it's just people aren't being hit with really like hard, like meaning just like bringing up the tension. If you don't do, like, sometimes it can just be like a frog being boiled slowly.
Yeah.
Like they might not notice, like it just slowly gets worse and worse and worse. They don't realize that it's gone from here to here.
Yeah.
We're making it something more obvious and sudden and in contrast to a way that it recently was.
Yeah.
Is more effective at getting people to leave.
Yeah. I guess to try to be a little more specific about whatever it was I was just talking about is that when information is fed to us by under the radar people that Scientology believes was pretty well compartmentalized, and that information is then made public, it creates witch hunts.
Right.
And those witch hunts push people out of Scientology.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
And that makes me very happy.
Yeah.
And even people who are just giving us information about, like, what would be some examples? Oh, well, we're doing a lot of protesting here in Clearwater, Florida. Streets and Jessica are doing a lot of what I call Scientology protesting out on Hollywood Boulevard. And we come into contact with a lot of Sea Org members, a lot of different Sea Org members, me, you, Jess, and Streets. It is very, very helpful to get real world and private information about those Sea Org members that we can then use in our interactions with those Sea Org members.
Totally.
That's a fun little example.
Yeah. Especially people who I haven't seen in like 20 years, like Andrew Shape.
That's right.
Like, I didn't know that was him.
That's right.
Now that I know that he knows everyone who I know. I know what to say to him.
That's right.
We can figure it out. And
that's right. So,
know his sister, know his ex-wife. I know all the people he was friends with. I know that he was in OSA. I know that, like, so many things to say to him.
That's right. We know that he was the right-hand man for Kathy True. We know Kathy's had a couple strokes recently. We know that, first of all, so our new favorite friend here in Clearwater, Florida is, a Sea Org member, Andrew Shape of the Office of Special Affairs. And until someone proves otherwise, we believe that Andrew Shape is the brother of the girl who was my best friend in the Sea Organization, Juliana Shape, who also is one of the women who did a hate video about me.
Yeah, and I was friends with her at one point too. I was on the flag metering course with her.
That's right.
Yeah.
Now, it's funny because I never knew Andrew. I only knew Juliana. You knew Andrew.
Yes.
You also knew Juliana, but who did you know better?
Juliana.
Oh, for real?
But it was before him. I don't think I ever spoke to Andrew, but he was an OSA trainee when I would be in a certain hallway.
Right.
And in OSA at that time was a guy who was your best friend at one point.
Daniel Presta.
Daniel Presta. We both knew Daniel Presta when we were in training at Flag.
He was my best friend when I was training at Flag.
Yeah.
He was a German who was infatuated with rockabilly and Elvis Presley. His dad was Italian. His mom was German. And the man loved Elvis and Americana rockabilly more than anything else.
That's right.
Good old Daniel. And Daniel was the best man at my wedding.
Oh, I didn't realize
I always forget that.
Oh.
I always forget that. Yeah.
I was there, remember.
That's right. Jenna was there. Okay, so what's amazing, just we're talking about some funny stories now. I said to Jenna, I didn't even know Juliana had a brother. Like, I've known Juliana since I was like 15 years old. I did not know she had a brother. And I go, come to think of it, I never even knew who Juliana's parents were.
Yes.
And then I was like, well, Jenna's got to know because she was in the Sea Org with them. I'm like, who is Andrew's parents? And she's like, I never knew who his parents were.
Well, because they were at like the pack ranch. And so I didn't.
No, but I know. But I figured at some point working at the FLO or, back and forth from into whatever. So this is some new under the radar information that we are currently seeking. First of all, it'd be nice to have double, triple confirmation that Andrew Shape really is the brother of Juliana Shape. And also, who the hell are their parents?
Yeah, right.
Are they alive?
Yeah.
how did Andrew wind up in OSA and Juliana wound up at Asho Foundation, like literally the armpit of the Sea Org, other than Australia?
Yeah.
Like Asho Foundation is where they send Sea Org members they hate.
Oh, really?
Well, now there's no Asho Foundation anymore. They combine them. But yeah, Asho Foundation is like, there's no Sea Org in the world considered lower than Asho Foundation.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I see.
You didn't know that?
No,
It's
I
true.
didn't know that. Because
It's like being at the int base and getting busted down to gold.
Okay. Yeah. But I still didn't. At first, I thought you were saying like the organization that you were in.
I was in Asho Day, okay?
Hey, saying this about yourself.
It was Asho Day.
It's all the same.
No, Asho Day is a real org.
How would a Sea Org have a day in foundation? That makes no sense.
It was crazy. I said from the beginning, it doesn't make sense to have an Asho Day and an Asho Foundation. It's the stupidest thing ever. Yeah. But because L. Ron Hubbard made it that way, it had to be that way forever until David Miscavige decided it was stupid. And it's the perfect example. I'm so sick and tired of people saying that Scientology policy cannot be changed. I'm so sick and tired of hearing people say that. Scientology policy can be changed. David Miscavige can change whatever the hell he wants. He does it all the time. He's been doing it all the time. And the fact that David Miscavige was able to say, no more Asho Day and Foundation, just one Asho. It doesn't get a bigger violation of policy than that.
Yeah.
And he did it. It was the right thing to do. Good job, Dave. You got something right. And it's driving me crazy that my microphone is lower than yours. But also my whole body is lower than yours, so I guess it shouldn't matter.
Yeah.
It's my OCD. What were we talking about? Oh, yeah. Asho Foundation is the armpit of the Sea Org, but it doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Oh, yeah. I was saying, how did Andrew wind up in OSA and his poor sister wound up at Asho F?
I don't know. I mean, he was just a trainee when I was there, and he was probably like if I left I feel like he was like a little bit younger than me. So maybe, and I was there starting when I was 16. So I don't know. Maybe he was like 16, 8. Well, I guess he did get married though. He got married to Katie Nolan.
Is that Maureen's sister?
Maureen's sister. Yeah. But they were only married briefly.
You see, guys, I was slumping the whole time because I don't want to tower over Jenna and be all weird. Plus, I usually sit backwards in these chairs, and I decided I wanted to sit normal, like a normal person. And so I'm just experimenting, guys. Don't mind me. Oh, God, there was some funny story. I got to tell you guys a funny story about Juliana Shape. This is like how people have fun in the Sea Org. See, we do know how to have fun in this. We did know how to have fun in the Sea Org. And I'm going to tell Andrew this story. By the way, he goes by Andrew, not Andy. Okay. I'm going to tell Andrew this story because he's going to laugh. So, and remember, this is the same Juliana Shape that sat down and did a fucking hate video about me. Okay. Mm-hmm. She was my best friend in the Sea Org. I was the TechSec Asho Day. Juliana was the TechSec Asho Foundation. So with the way the space planning worked, we shared an office. Not only that, it was super adorable. Our desks faced each other as if we were partners and as if we were like police detective partners. This office, what?
Is like the cause of many wars in your Sea Org life.
Yes, many confrontations and fights occurred in this office.
Yes.
Many Sea Org executives assaulted many Sea Org members. Like Renee Norton and John Lundeen, for some reason, would just like brutalize people in mine and Juliana's office for no apparent reason. It's like, get your own office. You have your office. Okay. So my desk was here. Juliana's desk faced my desk. We each had a phone on our desk. For whatever reason, these phones were connected to the same phone line. So it's one of these things like if she was on the phone, I could just pick up my phone and I could join the phone call. Okay. Juliana would spend a lot of time on the phone with her captain for some reason. And when I would go into my office and Juliana would be on the phone with her captain, mind you, I would sit down at my desk and I would make eye contact with her and she would know what was coming. I would pick up my phone and I would start mouth breathing into it to make Juliana's captain think that she was just mouth breathing into her phone. I'd be like, oh. And she would do the same to me, but she wasn't as good at it. And so she'd be like, no. She's like, no. I'd be like, oh. And of all the reports, because Juliana liked to write reports just as much as I did, we would never write each other up for mouth breathing into the telephone. And that was how we entertained ourselves in the Sea Org, by mouth breathing into telephones and making Juliana look like an absolute Neanderthal. She didn't know how to keep her mouth shut while her captain was speaking.
That is so funny. Oh my God.
Like Darth Vader. Okay, so I'm going to tell Andrew that story so he can see what a fun, friendly friendship me and his sister Juliana had in the Sea Org, and how sad it is that someone like Juliana, who like she was a jokester, she was a prankster,
she was funny, yeah.
She was hilarious,
Yeah.
and she basically has no opportunity to have a family of her own at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, she's wasted her whole life working in the Sea Org. She's been working in the she was born in.
Yeah, she reminds me of that one actress. Is it Catherine Hahn?
Oh, I'm not sure. I think if I think long enough, I can get a picture.
I'm gonna try to look at my phone and see if it's the one.
She just reminds you of her?
Yeah.
Yeah, to the best of my knowledge, Juliana Shape is still in the Sea Org. And for all you super under the radar guys, you know what? Anyone who has any current information on Juliana, shoot it to me at growingupinscientology@gmail.com. What?
This girl.
Oh, is it Catherine Hahn? Yeah, Catherine Hahn.
Yeah. She has her like similar voice. She kind of looks like her.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
And she's funny.
Yes.
Like Juliana's funny like that as well.
Yes. So when I first joined the Sea Org, Juliana had just gotten divorced from a guy who had left the Sea Org, who I never knew, but everyone else seemed to know him. And I always forget his freaking name. I mentioned it just the other day.
Tiber McCormick.
Tiber McCormick. So Juliana Shape was Juliana McCormick for a while. They got divorced. Tiber left the Sea Org. Tiber's another kid. I mean, well, not a kid. It's so I feel like they're all kids. We're all in our freaking 40s. You know, like I think Tiber's still within the world of Scientology. He's not declared. He's not out. But again, I never knew who his parents were. I don't know if his parents are in the Sea Org.
Well, I know who his parents are, but I never knew him. But I know because Dallas went to the same school as him in like Mojave Desert Ranch School or something.
Oh, they went to the Mojave Academy?
Yeah. So his parents like made that academy.
Really?
Yeah. They were like.
Was that another academy for bad kids, or was it?
It wasn't for bad. No.
Oh.
Yeah. Dallas was good. So it was like a school, like
it was an actual school.
High school there.
Okay,
yeah,
okay. It wasn't for those delinquents.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
No.
Okay, so then Juliana Shape was Juliana McCormick, and then she was all sad because she just gotten divorced. And then she recruited this guy, Devin Hansen, into the Sea Org just so that she could marry him. And then they got married, and then she was Juliana Hansen for a while, and then they got divorced, and he left the Sea Org as well.
Oh.
And then she was back to Juliana Shape. She's probably married again. It's hard to stay single in the Sea Org, right? Especially if you're Juliana. If you know, you know. Okay, so yes, Juliana's a great person. She's a funny person. She's wasted her whole life in the Sea Org. I hope she leaves. And if she leaves, we should get Juliana and Andrew out of the Sea Org, out of Scientology. The SBTV Foundation can help them, and we can all be friends and do barbecues.
Yeah, I saw he had a ring, and you were talking about something with kids, so maybe we could put that pressure on him. Like,
that's right.
Since he's a man, he could probably still have kids.
That's right. And for you super under the radar folks, we need to find out, who is Andrew Shape married to? How long have they been married? And have either one of them ever tried to blow or route out? Blow the Sea Org or route out? Okay. And yes, and in fact, how about all the OSA people asking for fun information on Peter Mansell? By the way, I heard that Ben Shaw tried to blow the Sea Org and had to be recovered.
Wow.
Ben Shaw in the Office of Special Affairs.
I remember him.
I wonder if Peter Mansell ever tried to blow.
I have no idea.
And then Pat Harney is back. The return of Pat. Oh my God, I forgot. I recorded a video of Pat yesterday. I gotta publish that.
Yeah, that's true.
And we saw Amber.
You did.
By the way, and under the radar folks, is Amber in HCO or is she in OSA? I can't figure it out. I'm sorry, HCO or OSA. The whole time you and I knew her, she was in HCO.
Yeah, but it looks like she's in OSA now.
Right.
Yeah.
Except they've been hiding her. So what are they having her do in OSA? Like I was told Andrew's a backlines OSA guy. Amber used to be a front lines OSA person. Now, when we saw her the other day, that was the first time I'd seen her in a couple of years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, back to what we were talking about. Under the radar, folks. Jenna said you guys were all terrible, but I told her you were great.
Sorry. There's some that I know that are cool, that are supportive. I was just in my mind, I was thinking of like
I know.
Emily Armstrong and yeah.
A
few other people.
The other thing that occurred to me when you were speaking earlier on is that there's just a huge difference between you when you you basically left Scientology without needing to have the perspective of without having to get the perspective of a non-Scientologist in the real world to realize that what was being done to you and all your friends was not right. Right? Like you were born and raised in it. And so to you, it literally was normal.
Yeah.
And yet it was still crystal clear to you that what was happening to you and everyone else was not okay.
Right.
And there seems to so I could see that, that experience of like, you didn't need to find out that what was happening to you and everyone else wasn't okay.
Right.
You knew it.
Yeah.
You didn't have to find out.
Right.
And so I think there can be a little bit of, I'm speaking for you for no good reason. Because it's not like we've spoken about this. I'm just like speaking off the top of my head. For you to see other people who, 10, 15, 20 years later are still being quiet, still helping the organization with their silence.
Yeah.
God forbid, still acting like it's okay.
Yeah.
Because they're thinking like Scientologists. I can understand it from your perspective. There's a little bit of an impatience of like, I thought like a Scientologist too.
Yeah. Right.
And it was pretty clear to me that it wasn't okay.
Exactly. Yeah. Totally. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it is sometimes like that.
Yeah.
Especially when there's like the occasional little comment. It's like, I don't know. I try to be as like forgiving, or as I try to see other people's point of views as much as possible. But yeah.
But what?
But I guess at some point it's like, I don't know. I don't have my thoughts delineated.
That's all right.
I guess it just does kind of piss me off a little bit. Like it seems like it's like, oh, you're getting, like you're sort of selling your soul to get the benefit of still not being ousted from your group. I guess this is another thing that I briefly wanted to mention is like sometimes people make excuses for people in Scientology saying that, well, we did all these horrible things, but we thought we were helping people. And I also thought I was helping people, but I do think that if your true goal is to help people because you love people and because you care about them and because it causes you pain to see suffering, then you will stop believing that that's what you will care enough to see it for what it is. And you'll stop believing that that's what Scientology is trying to do. It's almost like if seeing people being treated badly is something you want to help with, then you should care enough to notice when it's not happening.
Right.
So I sometimes feel like people use it as a front for like, no, it's too painful to break with my group where I have friends, or it's too painful to break with my social circle, or yes, I choose to have a relationship with this parent who's ignored me, even if it makes it so you can't have a relationship with your parent, and nor can other people who are in your family, or nor can I. It's like this thing where it's like they're saying it's because I believe we're helping people, and I think that it's just a lie.
Right.
Yeah.
It's funny when you've said that or explained that to me in the past. To me, it's very obvious because of what I know of your story. The truth of everything you're saying is very obvious to me. That people who go, well, I just thought we were helping people, where from your experience, you'd be like, where in the hell did you look around and see anybody being helped?
Right.
All that was happening was people being denigrated and made lesser and smaller and punished and restricted and invalidated and everything. And it's funny because I can ask myself, like, how does that compare to my experience? And then I'm very quickly reminded of the strange reality that the higher up you were in the Sea Org, echelon wise, organizational wise, the worse people were treated. And I never would have guessed that was true until I left Scientology and found out it was true. And it's funny because to a certain extent, the mistreatment, you know, if I were to look back and categorize what type of mistreatment did Sea Org members get at PAC when I was there, I felt like the mistreatment was pretty much par for the course of what I would expect if stats were down. And there was enough people being rewarded when stats were up that it didn't seem like a particularly, it didn't seem particularly out of step with what I would expect.
Right.
And even that experience was enough after 4 years to be like, I'm not doing this anymore.
Yeah. Right.
I'm not doing this anymore.
Yeah. Right.
And yet I still thought people were being helped. But here's the difference. I was at a service org that delivered to public.
Right.
So every day I'm at least being confronted with public who are at least saying we're helping them.
Right. Right.
You're at a Sea Org management org where everyone's just being brutalized every day, 365 days a year. You guys aren't even dealing with public Scientologists.
Exactly. Yeah. And not only that, but they weren't even applying like Scientology's policies.
Right.
Like, you know, there's all these policies that are like hat, don't hit, but which basically means like train people to do their job. Don't just punish them.
Right.
But it was just punishment. So like they weren't even doing their own policy. So it reeks of lies to me when somebody who even knows that they're not following their own policy.
Right.
There's no excuse for that, in my opinion. Now, I'm not saying that I haven't done things that were just to not help people. And I know, and I feel bad about it, but on the whole, it was like this whole situation. It was like, no, they're not even following their own policy. So you can't even say that I believe in this Scientology policy, even though it appears to hurt people. It's like, they're not even doing that.
Well, sure. And you walk the walk though. Like it literally is what led to you getting in more and more trouble is you were basically saying, no, I'm not going. I'm not going to accept these orders that are obviously just to punish and denigrate and aren't even. They're not even legal orders.
Yeah. And I would try to incorporate everybody. Like when they would try to make us stay up night after night after night, every night.
Right.
I'd be like, no, let's all go home. Let's go home. No one would go home. I'd be like,
mutineer,
guys,
mutineer Miscavige.
Go.
That's why you felt so betrayed when they all turned in their cell phones and you all promised you wouldn't.
Exactly. Yeah. And then they did like an interrogatory in the landlord office where I worked. And they're like, is anyone causing trouble or being loud? And
it was Jenna.
Like, it was me.
It was Jenna. Jenna made us all do it.
I was.
She gave us all snacks.
Exactly.
And she gave us all phones and told us not to turn them in.
I didn't give away any snacks. I didn't have enough money.
She's like, I had to keep the snacks to myself.
But yeah, like even if I would see the MAA talking to someone else, I'd be like, excuse me, that's bullshit.
Right.
Like,
it's like me talking to Joe when the cop is like, come over here with me. I'm like, don't go, Joe.
Exactly.
You don't have to talk to him, Joe. Exactly. Joe, you haven't committed a crime. Don't go, Joe.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then at some point, if nobody will stand up for themselves, it's like.
Exactly. But luckily, Joe stood up for himself. Good job, Joe.
Yeah, good job, Joe.
Everything that we're talking about here is also why I'm like, if you're going to stay under the radar and you're going to continue to exist in the Scientology ecosystem, at least share info with us.
Yes. Do it anonymously.
But something else that you said reminded me of something else that does bug me. So let's say you've got a Scientologist who they no longer really want to do Scientology, but they've got a good job at a Scientology company. And they literally never do anything to try and leverage the job they currently have into an equal or better paying job doing something similar at a company that's not run by a Scientologist, so that you can at least
have freedom.
Start paving your own path out of Scientology.
Yeah.
Postcard Mania is not the only direct mail marketing company in the world, guys. You know, that kind of stuff. Or these business consulting groups. You know, Scientology business consulting groups aren't the only business consulting groups in the world. Right. Or there's all sorts of Scientology companies.
Totally,
you know, because I can appreciate the security of a well-paying job. But it's like the
Yes.
best way to find the easiest way to find a job is when you've already got a good job.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree.
You know, don't wait until you get in trouble and you get, you know, the you know, OSA picks up your scent and they arrange for you to be fired or laid off, and now you've got to find a job. No, if you're disaffected with Scientology, if you're under the radar, use the job you have now to get a job that does not have connections to Scientology and Scientologists, and then you will thank yourself later on. Absolutely.
Very true. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see what else. George must be asleep.
There's 2 starred.
Yes. Well, those are auto starred.
Oh, okay.
So we have, it's John Shemwowski.
Hi, John.
What percentage do you think are afraid to lose friends more than parents? Oh yeah. Well, that's a really good point. It's a really good point. But here's the thing. All the people that we're talking about, their friends are also not really in Scientology. Like all these pack ranchers.
Yeah.
None of these people are actually dedicated online Scientologists.
Yeah, but I will say that when I first started speaking out about Scientology, or some people like were in contact with me, and I was like, just so you know, I'm not really involved in Scientology in any way.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, that's fine. But the second I spoke out about it, they did disconnect.
Right. Totally.
Yeah.
Like officially disconnect, or like just unfriend you on Facebook, but maybe stay in touch with you.
Didn't stay in touch. Yeah.
I went back through some of my old Facebook messages, and I saw even a bunch of those types of messages I had sent to people, like, hey, just so you know, I got heat coming down on me. I'm going to have to unfriend you on Facebook. I'm sure you understand. And from my perspective, I would have thought that they would have been totally cool with it. Like, oh yeah, of course.
I was for a really long time. Like people would say, or I would be like, you don't have to friend me. Or people would be like, is it okay if I don't friend you?
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, that's fine. And then I would offer it. I'd be like, it's okay. And then I kind of realized, like, do I really want to have friends like this?
Right.
Like, no, like I'll be friends. I got to move out of this world. I got to have friends who aren't like hiding me in the closet. Like, that's not a great way to treat yourself. So yeah.
But it's funny because when the shoe's on the other foot, it doesn't bother me at all, actually.
Yeah. Wait, what's the shoe on the other foot?
People who are in having to unfriend me so that their lives don't get blown up.
Right.
But still figuring out a way to stay in touch with me in a way that they, you know, they're at least trying to be helpful.
Yeah. It's interesting. Yeah. I see what you mean. I mean, I tolerated that for a long time as well, but then it would wind up that when I would hang out with them, they would be kind of like, oh yeah, well, I don't really think that you should speak out about it with this, or I think that this was really great, and I think this, and I'm like, it's almost like they have to justify themselves.
Yeah.
You know, by denigrating what I'm doing.
Yeah. Speaking of Daniel Presta, I just realized it was Daniel who called me from OSA in to get me to unfriend you on Facebook.
Oh, wow.
And that was the first time it became it sort of became on my radar that Scientology was not going to put things in writing anymore, and they didn't think they needed to. So the conversation went something like this. I think I was out of the Sea Org, relatively fresh out of the Sea Org, and was in Philly for some reason. I think when we left the Sea Org, went to Philly, went to New York, went back to Philly, went down to Clearwater. And I get a call from Daniel. Oh, Jenna's, you know, committed a suppressive act. She's, you know, publicly attacking Scientology. And so, you know, you understand. I go, yeah, I do understand. Is she declared? And he's like, she's not declared, but the policy still applies. I'm like, which policy? The policy on declaring people? He's like, oh, you know, suppressive acts, suppression of Scientology, Scientologists, whatever it was. I forget the name of the policy. And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, Daniel, Scientologists commit suppressive acts all the time. That's what ComEvs are for. Like, literally, when you get a ComEv, it lists your high crimes, which are literally suppressive acts. So committing a suppressive act doesn't equal disconnecting from someone. Like, is there some reason she's not declared? Well, you know, it's, you know, she will be declared, but she's not yet. I'm like, then call me back when she's declared. Like, I don't understand what conversation we're having. Why are you bothering to call me now if you're saying she's going to be declared? Then call me when she's declared.
Right. Yeah. And there's this whole policy in Scientology that's like, if you don't label the suppressive, then they'll never turn good or they'll never come back.
That's
like
right.
basically, like, so they actually have to declare you technically per policy,
That's right.
and they have to issue it as well.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think this was so many funny thoughts that are coming to mind. Just like when they finally issued whatever, they issued something on you. Maybe it was just a ComEv.
It was the comment finding recommendations, but it was like she's declared, and then like sometimes at the end of the finding and recommendations, they'll be like, we've decided to mitigate these recommendations. So they
Yes.
mitigated them because it literally says in this that it's because we showed willingness to like improve the situation and get and like work with them, which
Right.
could not be farther from the truth. I was an absolute nightmare at this ComEv. In the ComEv, you can see that I pled not guilty to everything.
Uh-huh.
And they even talk about how I argued with them and I tried to like say that it wasn't my fault. And they said I placed the blame elsewhere, which is fucking true. I did.
Did you bite anybody while you were in there?
No, but I also recorded it, but I lost the recording. I was like,
Oh.
oh, you guys are recording? I'm going to record too. I was not helpful or kind or nice or participating in
What's the word they call it? Remorseful?
way.
Remorseful?
Not even a little bit. There was 0 parts of me that was remorseful or even pretending to be. So it was just funny that they mitigated it. It was for their own good. They were like, if we fully declare this bitch, she's gonna go psycho.
That's right. Well, it was so funny. What I just remember you pointed out that when they told you they were going to issue your publish your comment findings, you were like,
Yeah.
you better put my name is Jenna Miscavige.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, it's
Right.
Jenna Hill. And they still, even though you and Dallas are divorced, they still, when they were responding to, what was the news program they were responding to?
News Nation.
News Nation. Jenna was on with Ashley Banfield a couple weeks ago on News Nation. And in the letter they sent Ashley, just denouncing Jenna, they still refer to you as Miss Hill.
Yeah.
They refuse to use your last name.
Yeah. And she pointed that out, which was funny. She's
Yes.
like, they still refer to her as Miss Hill. And I had said at the time when they sent the ComEd finding recommendations, I was like, I want you to put Jenna Miscavige, because in Scientology they say, you issue this because you're basically trying to like cause relief in the group when you declare someone a suppressive person, whatever with group Ingrid.
Yeah.
So it's like people are supposed to be like, oh, okay, this makes sense. This person was horrible. So under that guise, I was like, yeah, people need to know who this ComEv is on. Nobody knows me as Jenna Hill. I was really trying to get to spread the word that David Miscavige's niece was being declared.
That's right.
And make them look horrible, because so many people in Scientology, if like their uncle once looked at a website, they like get tortured and kicked out. So I was like,
yeah,
can we get this happening to Dave because of me?
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
And it's funny, just so many little things remind me of something else. The other day when me and Marco, were you down there with it? What, you weren't in town when me and Marco were at the street party, right? When me and Marco Calderon were down at the Scientology street party, we ran into Kim Ford. And in the heat of the moment, I mentally confused Kim Ford with Melanie Penketh. And Kim Ford and George Ford were Sea Org members when I was at PAC. One of their parents started publicly attacking Scientology. Now, Kim and George were both well-respected veterans, long-term Sea Org members. In fact, and one or both of them might have even been an officer. Mm-hmm. As soon as one of their parents started attacking, they were deemed unqualified for the Sea Org, and they were offloaded.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Offloaded.
Yeah.
And I have mentioned that as an example in my videos several times of Scientology just capriciously enforcing policies in different ways for different people in different circumstances.
Exactly, yeah.
You had 2 dedicated Sea Org members who were like, oh, your parents are publicly attacking? Boom, you're out. And yet literally every member of David Miscavige's family attacks publicly Scientology, and he's still A-okay to be Captain David Miscavige. But
it's true. But who's every member? Okay, me and my grandpa. Yeah, that's it.
Well, that's true. I guess I'm saying they've left Scientology.
Yeah.
Pretty much every member, sort of. I lost my train of thought right there.
Yeah, no, it's true though. People get like offloaded.
Aren't you under the impression that is technically speaking why you or your grandpa never officially had an SP declare issued, is so that there would be some loophole that somehow it was because technically if you were declared, then David Miscavige couldn't still be COB. It sounds so stupid when it comes out of my mouth, though. He can do whatever the hell he wants.
Exactly. Yeah. I think that is more about like they knew what I was going to do with the issue if they gave it to me, and if they said the real reason I got declared, and that they didn't think that that would be good.
Yeah.
So that wouldn't help them in any way.
Okay. The main message of this video is under the radar people are fantastic.
Yay. I agree. I'm very grateful for all the help that they've given.
Yes.
And I won't lump you together with everyone involved.
But again, I actually don't consider people who have stopped being a Scientologist but still refuse to associate in any way with ex-Scientologists for fear of what Scientology will do to them, right? I don't consider those people under the radar.
I see.
I use under the radar specifically to mean people who are still technically Scientologists in good standing, but do secretly communicate with ex-Scientologists.
I see. Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And I think it is an interesting thing to consider and to talk about, that all of the people, I'm going to say the thousands of people who have sort of chosen to stop doing in Scientology and don't believe it, but still behave exactly as Scientology wants them to. They don't communicate with people Scientology wouldn't want them to communicate with. They don't. Those people, I do feel enable Scientology to carry on.
Right.
If all of those people stood up and said, I guess to at least people in their, their family members.
Yeah.
I'm not a Scientologist anymore, just so you know.
Yeah.
And you can continue to be a Scientologist if you want. I still love you. I won't attack you or anything, but I'm not a Scientologist, and I'm going to do whatever the hell I want, and I don't care what Scientology says about it.
Yeah.
Honestly, Scientology would crumble.
Totally. Yeah. But ironically, that's what I would have done if Scientology didn't keep trying to turn Dallas's parents against me and us. Yeah. That's what I would have done.
Totally. All right. I'd say that's it. Ladies. Oh, wait. Phoenix Book Girl gifted 5 channel memberships. Thank you so much, Phoenix Book Girl. When George Massey wakes up, he's going to be very embarrassed that he slept through this. We forgive you, George. Hope you had some good rest. All right, guys. What is it, Sunday?
Yes.
All right. We'll be back for more tomorrow. Thanks for hanging out with us, everybody.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Okay, if you want to see my rock and roll songs, click right on this guitar. And if you want to see a different one of my videos, then you could click right inside here. If you have subscribed or not,